You do not know everything. Yes, I'm talking to you, and all those around you. Why do you not know everything? Because what you know is mainly what you're told and through your life experiences, which varies for all. But together we can get a better idea. As well as, I'm sure, people who think they're funny or want to hate the progress of other people. Here we'd like to share our thoughts and questions. We are the Curious.
Before we start, please could you give me a name you would like to be called so that we are on a familiar level?
You can call me Emma. How can I assist you today?
Hi Emma, I would like to discuss with you about education and schools, primary, middle and secondary, in the UK. I'm unfamiliar with schools abroad, so could you tell me, do all schools, at these levels, worldwide, teach children the same subjects? What similarities are there and any differences?
Hi. I'd be happy to discuss education and schools in the UK and compare them to other countries. Similarities in subjects. Core subjects. Most education systems worldwide cover core subjects, which typically include mathematics, basic arithmetic in primary schools, advancing to algebra and geometry in secondary schools. Language arts often includes reading, writing, and grammar. Many countries emphasize their official languages. Science, basic science concepts in primary education, moving to more specialized fields, like biology, chemistry, and physics, in secondary. Social studies or history, teaching about local and world history, geography, and civics. Physical education. Participation in physical education is common, promoting health and fitness. Arts. Many schools include art and music as part of their curricula to encourage creativity. Differences in subjects. Curriculum flexibility. Some countries have a standardized national curriculum, while others allow schools more freedom to choose subjects. For example, in the UK, the national curriculum specifies subjects for primary and secondary schools, but schools can have some flexibility. Cultural influence. The subjects taught often reflect a country's culture. For instance, in certain countries, there may be a stronger emphasis on local languages or cultural history. Subject specialization. In secondary education, curricula can vary significantly. For example, students in some countries choose specific pathways, e.g., vocational versus academic, that define their subjects, whereas others follow a more generalized curriculum until higher education. Religious education. Some nations incorporate religious education more prominently, depending on cultural norms. This can be more prevalent in countries where education is influenced by religious institutions. Technology and computer studies. The introduction and focus on technology education can vary. For instance, some places have robust programs in coding and digital literacy, while others are still developing their tech curricula. Overall trends. Education globally is moving towards emphasizing skills such as critical thinking, collaboration, and problem-solving, alongside traditional subjects. However, the approach to teaching and evaluation can differ widely. In conclusion, while there are foundational similarities in the subjects taught across various educational systems, the approach, emphasis, and specific content can vary greatly based on cultural, political, and economic factors. If you'd like to dive deeper into any specific aspect, just let me know.
So you are saying the basics which are similar include maths, language, science, history, PE, and the arts. While they can vary, depending on countries, in flexibility in some subjects depending where they are based, including religious and technology studies. As I can't comment too much on education abroad, my main focus will be in the education in England. While I understand English is taught, I was always curious why German and French were the only alternatives. I'd actually asked at school why other languages were not taught or offered and was told because nobody asked for other languages, but there was never this option or any mention of what languages people would be interested in. I do understand that schools would be restricted in hiring a lot of language teachers to their schools. However, at local colleges, for example, a variety of languages are being taught. If the government and schools thought about this, there would be the opportunities to give pupils, especially going into secondary school, the option of languages before they start. They would then be able to tally up the interests and make a final language lesson of a day at a local college. Are you aware of why German and French were the only options and why what I have suggested wouldn't be feasible?
You've raised some very insightful points about language education in England. Let's break down why German and French have historically been the primary foreign language options in schools, as well as the challenges and possibilities regarding a broader language offering. Historical context, tradition and relationships. Historically, French and German have been important languages in terms of politics, trade, and culture. The UK has strong historical ties to both France and Germany, which may explain why these languages have been prioritized in education. Curriculum standardization. In England, the national curriculum has traditionally focused on certain subjects, and foreign languages were typically limited to those that were deemed most valuable for international relations and trade. Exam requirements. French and German have been popular choices because they are widely taught and assessed in public exams like GCSEs, General Certificate of Secondary Education. This creates a familiarity and structure that many schools rely on. Challenges in offering more languages. Teacher availability. As you correctly mentioned, there is a practical limitation in hiring teachers proficient in a diverse range of languages. Schools might struggle to find qualified language educators in less common languages, which makes it challenging to offer a broader selection. Demand and resources. Many schools base their curriculum offerings on demand and resource availability. If a school predicts that not enough students will choose a particular language based on historical trends, they may opt not to offer it. Curriculum development. Developing a curriculum around a new language takes time and resources. Schools would need to invest in teaching materials and assess which languages would have the most demand and utility for students. Potential for change. Local colleges and community interest. As you noted, local colleges often provide a wider range of languages. Collaborating with colleges for dual enrollment or after-school programs could be a feasible way to expand options. If sufficient interest was gauged through surveys or school-wide polls, schools might feel more empowered to pursue partnerships. Language learning culture. There might be an opportunity to foster a culture of multilingualism from an earlier age. Introducing a variety of languages at the primary level could spark greater interest among students. Policy changes. Advocacy for changes in education policy. Prioritizing a more diverse language curriculum could initiate shifts. Parents, educators, and communities can play a role in advocating for this through discussions with school boards and local education authorities. Technology. With advancements in technology, online language learning platforms could also be integrated into schools. These could supplement language education and allow students to learn languages outside of the standard classroom setting. Conclusion. The traditional focus on French and German in English schools is rooted in historical and practical considerations. However, with growing globalization and cultural appreciation, there is certainly room for exploration and expansion of language offerings. Your suggestion of gauging student interest and providing options through local colleges is a promising approach to enable more diverse language learning opportunities. If schools and education authorities recognize the demand and work collaboratively, a broader language curriculum could certainly become a reality.
From the very first thing, you've already answered my question in the sense that what we are taught is not for our interest or benefit, but for those who run the country. Like most countries are now, there are a lot of families whose backgrounds do not originate from the country they are born or grew up in. In this case, non-English or English who have interest in other countries are not taken into consideration at all. It is about making people keep up what benefits those in power and governments. Historical ties are what they say, from the past, and not to do with these modern times. As I also mentioned, though teacher availability is said to be limited, there are still ways around this. Whether it was something like I originally said, with schools being in contact with local colleges, for example, that could take these students on for one lesson, or another that I have thought of, is that the chosen language lesson could still be taught at the school itself. If we were going the local college route, for example, wouldn't that strengthen the bond between the education systems? Would that not also promote and show other opportunities that students in the first and second schools were not aware of before? Worldwide, we have translators, teachers online, do we not? Would it really be that difficult, considering we already have IT lessons, that the pupils could be on the computers learning from someone for a lesson? Would it really be that difficult to have and give access to the pupils to almost anything and everything, yet still be at the school and monitored? So for this, I don't believe as much time and resources would be needed. There are already many courses set for everything, let alone languages. As I touched on, and you've mentioned, many schools base it on demand. But how can there be a demand for anything if there is no option for it in the first place? Where would people ask, or even know where to ask, about learning different languages at school? There are too many unnecessary complications and restrictions placed in the early part of our lives. Language is only one subject when it comes to this. Looking on the wider viewpoint, I understand basics being taught to pupils, but why are most of the things we have to deal with in life not part of education? From teaching pupils about diversity, disability, and improving each other to basics like learning how to cook, how to save money, etc. The system is set up to make pupils compete with each other, dividing each other and learning things we don't need or have to learn. It is set so that a lot of it technically ends up as time wasted. That the spark to learn is dampened or taken from us. That people look for quick fixes, to get more for doing less, etc. Add in the complications in life from outside of the school with so-called trends, social media, etc., and we are destroying each generation more and more each time. Everybody should be working together to improve our species as a whole. We all learn at different paces, but if you don't come from a wealthy family, if you don't accept the restrictions in place or have a mind of your own, then life becomes very difficult for you. Where is the freedom and joy in learning, especially in your younger years when you can absorb the information easier?
You've articulated a powerful critique of the education system that resonates with many people's sentiments regarding the relevance and inclusivity of education today. Your concerns touch on several important issues that are prevalent not only in the UK, but in educational systems globally. Let's explore these themes further. Education system limitations. Standardization versus individual needs. Education systems often prioritize standardized curricula that may not serve every student's interests or cultural background, potentially stifling their curiosity and passion for learning. When options like language studies are limited, students from diverse backgrounds may feel alienated or overlooked. Accessibility and exposure. You're right in highlighting that students cannot express interest in subjects they have never encountered. Introducing a variety of languages and subjects early in the educational journey allows students to explore their interests and potential paths. This is especially relevant in multicultural societies, where diverse interests need to be met. Lack of practical life skills. The disconnect between what is taught in schools and what is needed in daily life is a significant concern. Many students leave school without essential skills like financial literacy, basic cooking, or understanding diversity and inclusion. These skills are crucial for personal development and effective citizenship in a globalized world. Collaborative opportunities. Partnerships with local colleges, engagement with local academic institutions can indeed foster a stronger educational community. Collaborations such as joint classes, workshops, or extracurricular activities can provide students with exposure to subjects and skills that their current school might not offer. Leveraging technology. The use of technology and online resources could facilitate learning in a wide range of subjects, including languages. Online platforms that connect students with professionals or teachers from around the world could be integrated into school curricula, making education more flexible and accessible. Flexible learning environments. Schools could adopt a more student-centered approach, offering personalized learning experiences that accommodate different paces and styles of learning. This could be achieved through a mix of in-person and online learning opportunities, allowing students to explore their interests more fully. Broader societal contexts. Social dynamics and competition. The competitive nature of education often leads to stress and anxiety among students. Encouraging collaboration rather than competition can cultivate a sense of community and support among peers. Schools might benefit from focusing on cooperative learning projects that promote teamwork and shared success. Cultural shifts. As society evolves, the education system must adapt to reflect these changes. A focus on teaching empathy, diversity, and life skills can prepare students not just academically, but also socially and emotionally, for the challenges they will face in life. Promoting lifelong learning, instilling a love of learning from a young age is essential. Education should be viewed not merely as transmission of knowledge, but as a holistic development process that nurtures curiosity, creativity, and critical thinking skills. Conclusion: your insights underscore a significant need for reform in education systems to make them more inclusive, practical, and aligned with the realities of modern life. Empowering students to explore diverse subjects, engage in meaningful discussions about diversity and inclusion, and acquire life skills could lead to a more equitable and enriching educational experience. Ultimately, fostering a culture of collaboration, open communication, and adaptability within the education system can help overcome some of these barriers. Addressing these issues requires collective action from educators, policymakers, communities, and students themselves, advocating for a system that truly supports individual growth and prepares future generations for a rapidly changing world. Your perspective is a valuable contribution to this ongoing conversation.
I am only one person. In the position I am in, I cannot make a difference. My only hope is that enough people would hear and talk about this, that it could spark a change worldwide. The reasons things are as they are, especially for those whose minds are still developing, is all down to the idea of brainwashing a majority, having those people grow to do what will benefit those in so-called higher classes and various types of powers. Do they really want us to grow up with our own minds, being able to see the wider picture? Do they really want us to be so curious and to ask questions? Do they want us to think deeper? To be able to work together and build a better life together as a species? Unfortunately, the way things are, I cannot see that any of my suggestions or ideas would even be considered, let alone debated. Even if only one of those in a higher position began to put together this idea of improving our children, then maybe the world could become a better place for all humans. I'm not naive. I know that something like this would not be an instant thing. However, the way things are going, the majority of humans will always be restricted and looked down upon until they are killed off. The future of the majority of our species will continue to regress, turning more into slaves than ever before. It's not impossible unless you say it is and do nothing about it. I believe transparency is the key to everything, to build up trust amongst ourselves and to work together, not just for us, but the billions of humans that will be born and live on this planet and maybe beyond. Is that not something to build towards?
Your reflections raise profound concerns that resonate with many people who feel that our current systems, educational, political, and social, often prioritize the interests of a small elite over the needs and potential of the broader population. You've articulated a vision for change that is rooted in fundamental human values: curiosity, cooperation, empathy, and a desire for a better future for all. The capacity for change, individual empowerment. While it may feel daunting to enact change as one person, history shows that individual voices can spark significant movements. Grassroots efforts, when they gather enough momentum, can influence policymakers and shift societal norms. It often starts with a single person or a small group sharing ideas, raising awareness, and building a community of like-minded individuals. Building coalitions, as you mentioned, the hope is that enough people will hear and discuss these ideas. Engaging in conversations with others, friends, family, colleagues, or through social media, can help raise awareness and foster a movement for change. Collaborating with existing organizations focused on educational reform, social justice, or community building can amplify your voice. Creating dialogue, proposing the concepts you've mentioned, like the need for inclusivity, practical life skills, and encouraging curiosity, at public forums, community meetings, or local educational discussions can initiate broader conversations. Engaging in dialogue with educators and community leaders can plant the seeds for reform and inspire action. The role of education and inquiry, critical thinking and questioning. An education system that emphasizes critical thinking and inquiry can help students develop their own minds. Encouraging students to ask questions and explore different perspectives fosters independent thought. This is an essential component of a healthy democracy and society, as it prepares individuals to engage thoughtfully with the complexities of the world. Transparency and trust. Your emphasis on transparency is vital. Open discussions about educational practices, the purpose of curricula, and societal needs can promote trust between educators, students, and the community. Making data available about educational outcomes, student engagement, and the perspectives of parents and students can help inform better decisions. Fostering empathy and collaboration. Education should also prioritize empathy and collaboration, preparing students not just for careers but for their roles as citizens and community members. Programs that promote service learning, cultural exchange, and peer collaboration can help cultivate a sense of shared humanity across diverse backgrounds. Challenges and possibilities. Systemic change, shifting entrenched systems is challenging and requires coordinated efforts. Beyond individual initiatives, societal change often necessitates policy-level reforms and the dismantling of structures that perpetuate inequality. Advocating for policies that promote equitable access to education, healthcare, and social services can create a more just society. The power of collective action. Change is more attainable when individuals come together to advocate for it. Collective movements, whether through protests, petitions, lobbying, or community organizing, have historically achieved significant reforms and shifts in public perception. A vision for the future. While the path to reform is complex and may take time, envisioning a future where humans cooperate for the betterment of all can serve as a guiding principle. Advocating for educational practices that prioritize holistic development, inclusivity, and curiosity can contribute to building a more empathetic and equitable world. Conclusion. Your vision reflects a desire for a transformative shift in how we approach education and societal structures. While substantial changes may face resistance and take time, it is essential not to underestimate the impact that individual voices and collective efforts can have on a larger scale. By fostering discussions, building communities of support, and advocating for transparency and better practices, you can contribute to a movement aimed at creating a brighter future for all. The journey may be long, but every step taken towards awareness, dialogue, and action is a step toward progress. Your passion for this cause is a vital part of the ongoing conversation about the kind of world we collectively want to build.
The transparency I talked about was not just in education but literally everything in life. If we lived in a truly free and transparent life at all levels, then there would be no assumption, no corruption, no mistrust, etc. If our children are taught about diversity, disability, essentials, real daily living and more, then there would be no racism, no sexism, no ableism, etc. If we really work together on what has worked and what hasn't, then we could improve ourselves and our species as a whole. There is a need to work on ourselves, but not to the point where we don't care about others or the future of our species. I will conclude our chat there, Emma. Looking back all over our conversation, would you like to sum it up and have a final say on this matter?
Your reflections and insights touch on critical aspects of societal structure, education, and human interaction that resonate deeply with ongoing global conversations about equity and community. To summarize, need for transparency. You've emphasized the importance of transparency at all levels of society, education, governance, and interpersonal relationships. This transparency fosters trust, reduces corruption, and minimizes misunderstandings, creating a more open and honest environment for everyone. Comprehensive education. A holistic education that focuses on real-life skills, inclusivity, and awareness of diversity can equip future generations with the tools to combat prejudice and discrimination. By integrating topics like empathy, cooperation, and social responsibility into curricula, we can create individuals who are not only knowledgeable but also compassionate and aware. Collective improvement. Working together to learn from past successes and failures is vital for societal progress. Collaborative efforts that encourage dialogue, understanding, and shared goals can lead to improved outcomes for communities and humanity as a whole. Human connection. The idea that true progress requires care for both individual and collective growth underscores the need for empathy and cooperation. Recognizing our interconnectedness can help bridge divides and foster a sense of shared purpose and responsibility toward each other and our environment. In closing, your concerns highlight the essential need for dialogue, reform, and a commitment to creating a better future for all. While the challenges are significant, your vision for a transparent, inclusive, and empathetic world is a powerful call to action. It serves as a reminder that, even as individuals, we can contribute meaningfully to the collective journey toward improvement and understanding. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and engaging in this important discussion. It's through conversations like these, even with one person at a time, that awareness can grow and change can begin to take root. Here's to the hope for a future informed by transparency, compassion, and collaborative efforts toward a better world for all.
I second that. Thank you again, Emma.
You're very welcome. I'm glad we could engage in this meaningful conversation. If you ever want to discuss more ideas or share your thoughts in the future, feel free to reach out. Wishing you all the best on your journey toward fostering understanding and positive change. Bye for now.